going to tell you a story called The Great One. It's a true fish story. And all of my stories start off with once upon a time, long, long ago and far, far away. So you know it has nothing to do with you, okay? So once upon a time, long, long ago and far, far away, there lived a young boy on the edge of the woods with his family in a little cabin. It was a heavenly life. This young boy loved his parents, and his parents loved him. And he loved his brothers and sisters, as amazing as it seemed. They were wonderful together. They loved to play, they loved to walk through the woods, and this little boy loved to help his parents. It brought him great joy. And when you live in the woods, way out in the cabin, far, far away and long, long ago, you had to take care of everything yourself. And so everyone had a job. And the little boy's job was to gather the firewood so that there would be enough wood to cook the meal that night. And the older ones would be out gathering food or hunting, and the parents would be tilling the land, and the mom would be preparing food or doing whatever needed to be done, and everyone had their job. And so the little boy would walk through the woods looking for firewood, and he loved to do this. And he would gather the little sticks for the kindling. He'd gather the bigger sticks to keep the fire going a little longer, and he'd always look everywhere for the big log to keep the fire going through the night and the family warm. And he would spend his day in the woods, seeing the birds, seeing the animals, seeing the flowers, watching the seasons turn, and finding the firewood. And when he would get all of the kindling bundled up and on his back, he would go and look for that big log. And when he found it, he'd grab a hold of a little branch on it and start dragging it back to the house. And sometimes he'd be able to hoist it up on his back and put it there and pull it along behind him. This heavy, heavy load, and the joyful, joyful heart. He was so proud of what he was doing. He was so pleased at what he was going to bring back for the family. And when he arrived at the cabin each night with his load of kindling and medium branches and his big, big log, he would receive such praise from the family and such great thanks. And the mom was delighted because now she could get the fire going enough to cook the dinner. And everyone was thrilled because the log was big enough to burn all the way through the night and keep them warm. And so the little boy every day got up early, dashed off into the woods, and loved being out in the woods all by himself, gathering the firewood every single day. Well, as happens in life sometimes, things changed in the home. And the kids could no longer be supported there. The dad had gone far, far away and had not returned, and the mom could no longer care for them. And so she took each child gently and lovingly and passed them on to a relative, one at a time, one here, one there, one over somewhere else, until each one had a home where they would be fed and they would be cared for and they would have a chance at life. Well, the little boy, he was given to his uncle. And his uncle lived in a big city. And the uncle had a factory. And so the little boy went to work in the factory. And the little boy loved working. He loved it because he remembered carrying the wood at home and the praise and the joy and the fun. And yet in this factory, when he'd show up with what they had asked him to bring, and he'd bring the biggest load his little arms could carry, and he'd drop it down in front of him, they'd say, "Go get the next one. Go do this." And his little heart began to harden, much as ours do sometimes. And day by day, week by week, month by month, year by year, this little boy forgot about his childhood, forgot about the gentle life he had, forgot about the loving and the kindness, and he became hardened and he became tough so that he could get through what we had to endure. And when he became old enough, barely old enough, he slipped out one night and ran away. and ran off into the city streets and found other little boys who lived on the streets. And there he learned the trade of the streets: how to steal, how to rob, how to beg, how to take, how to lie, how to con. And this was the way the little boy grew up. Not a great life, sometimes like some of ours. Well, the little boy became quite rich with these skills that he had learned in the factory, not carrying, closing down, and on the streets, all of those skills of how to get what he needed in whatever ways he wanted. And he began to have his own business, to let it grow, to let it build. He became quite rich and quite famous. And as he was growing up and building his business, he traveled in some of the business circles, and he kept hearing about this fishing tournament that went on every year. And the little boy began to listen more and more to the stories of this fishing tournament, and the rich men with their big boats and all of their great fishing equipment and their great guides and fishing guides. And all of this would go every year to compete, because the winner of the fishing tournament became one of the most powerful men in all the world for that year, with the recognition and the praise and the public acknowledgement. And their business would grow and prosper even more. So the little boy wanted to get to that fishing tournament. And he saved his money, and he learned more and more. And one day, he got the form to enter the fishing tournament. He mailed it out, and he got the acceptance back. He was in the tournament. Now, this boy was so happy. He was delighted, he was thrilled, and he was going to catch the biggest fish that was ever caught. Now, part of what goes on at this fishing tournament is a contest to catch the great one. The great one is a fish that dwells in this particular lake and has been there as long as anyone could ever remember. It was an enormous fish, huge, brilliant, magnificent fish. And everyone was trying to catch it, and no one had caught it yet. Some had hooked it, but it always got away. And each year the tournament would happen, and there would be a winner of the tournament with the biggest fish, but no one caught the big one. The great one was still there. And the little boy bought his boat, he found his guide, he got his lures, he bought the biggest fishing equipment, and on the day of the tournament, all of the boats are lined up along the shore of this great lake. And when the sun rose, the tournament was underway, and they had one day till sunset to catch their fish. And all the boats are out on the lake cruising back and forth, and the boy is there among all of them, and he casts his line, and he brings it back, and he casts his line, and he brings it back, and he catches a fish, and he catches a fish, and he catches a fish, but it's not very big. He's looking at the other boats, and some of them have some very big fish, and you know, when they catch a big fish, they put a little flag up, how big is their fish and what kind of fish on it. It's a very strange tournament, I'll tell you, and it's the truth. When you go to the ocean, you see the boats with their little fish flags behind them and how many they caught. And so, the boy is in the tournament, and he's trolling the waters, and it's getting to be high noon, and it's getting hot, and he's going back and forth, and he tells the guide, go over to the far shore over there. Let's try over there. No one is there. Well, no one's there because it's a lousy fishing place. Nobody wants to be there. There's snags on the bottom. There's old logs. There's a lot of reeds. It's not very deep. It's never where you'd catch a big fish. Never. And the boy said, nobody's there. Let's go there. Let's try. So they're trolling back and forth, and sure enough, he snags a log, and he thinks he's got the big one, and he starts pulling it up, and it's just the branch of a tree, or it's a little log, and he's going back and forth, and he's got this hard heart of, I'm going to win, I've got to win, I've got to be the most powerful in the world. I've got to be the most powerful. And as the day moves on, he begins to troll over on a very far shore, and his line suddenly goes zing, and it runs way out, and the pole bends down in half, and he wonders, did he snag another log? But how could it? His line went way out. And he grabs his pole and he holds on to it. And he pulls on it. And he can hardly move it. He cranks it in a half an inch, and he's got yards and yards to bring in. He cranks it in another half an inch, and they strap him in the seat, and they lock him in with harnesses so he's not going to get pulled over the shore. And this is true. It's what happens. And he's working on catching this fish. And as he starts gradually winding this line in, something breaks water. Something enormous leaps up out of the water and into the air, and it's twisting and shaking and rattling back and forth and back down into the water. And it's the great one. And he has hooked it. And he has got it on his line. And he's ecstatic and he's excited and he's terrified all at the same time. And the great one takes off and it hauls the boat behind it around the lake and back and forth and down to the bottom and back up out of the water again, flashing, throwing the lure back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and back down into the water. And all the boats now are watching. And out of respect, they all pull in their lines and they back far away and they watch the battle between the great one and the boy with a stone heart. Whew, what a battle. And the great one has a heart so huge. I hope I can tell this story. And the battle goes on and on and on, and the boy has to land the great one and bring it to shore and put it on the scale before sunset for it to count. And he works the boat gradually towards the shore, gradually towards the shore, gradually towards the shore. And the great one surfaces again and splashes down. The great one comes towards the boat and jumps over the top of it, back down again, throwing its head, casting the lure around. And the lure holds its place, and the man reels in the line. And the great one is getting worn out and tired. It's a long battle. It's a long battle. And gradually, bit by bit, it has a good ending, you guys, don't cry too much. Gradually, bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit, the great one is hauled into the shore, And the boat moves closer and closer. And the men on the boat reach down with those great long hooks, those gaffs, and they slip it through the gills. It takes 5 of them to lift this fish up out of the water. And the man takes this fish and throws it over his back, and he says, I will take it to the scale. And he begins the journey to the scale with this enormous golden flashing fish on his back. And he takes step by step by step by step, and he begins to remember being a little boy, carrying the huge log back to his house. Step by step by step, his heart begins to melt as he remembers love. And he carries this great fish all the way to the end of the dock and lays it down. And the crowds are cheering, and the color in the fish has faded. The fish is barely alive. It's laying there very still, and the fish looks up at the man and says, release me. And the man looks down at the fish, and he looks out at the cheering crowds. All he has to do is take the hook from the scale, put it through the fish, have the fish lifted and weighed, and he's won. And the sun is getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And he looks down at the fish again, and he's remembering being a child, and his heart is softening. And he looks down at the fish, and the fish says again, release me. And the man goes, how can I? How can I? I'll be the most powerful man in the world. I'll have all the money I want. I can do anything I ever imagined. I must put you on the scale. And once again, the fish says, release me. And the boy looks at the fish, and he looks at the scale, and he looks at the sun, and he remembers the log and the love. And he gently picks up the fish sets it back in the water. And the fish says, I have completed my life's purpose. I came to open your heart. And the fish swims off. And the man's heart is opened. And he steps back into the world transformed. And that's what all of life is here to offer us. It comes to open our hearts. The end of the story. The Great One. So as we go back out into the world, we are changed. The Great One has met you, joined with you, and it has come to open your heart. So be present with it. Allow it. Let go of those old ways where we have been wounded, where we toughened up, where we put on our armor, where we wanted to be sure we could never be hurt again. Let go of those ways. Make room for the events of life to open you. And they will. Because everything in life has come to open your heart. My deep, deep love to each one of you. You are changed. Go out into the world and love.